You smile when you don't feel like smiling. You agree when you want to disagree. You swallow the thing you actually think because saying it would make someone uncomfortable, and you've learned that your comfort matters less than theirs. This isn't weakness. This is a strategy you developed long before you knew you were developing it. Somewhere in childhood, you learned that the real you, the one with needs, edges, opinions that clash, wasn't entirely welcome, so you built something else, something softer, something that got approval, that kept the peace, that made people say you were such a nice person. And it worked. For years, maybe decades, it worked. You got through family dinners without conflict. You maintained friendships that would have shattered if you'd said what you actually thought. You built a career partly on being easy to work with, low friction, the person who doesn't make waves. But lately, something has started to feel wrong. You're tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. You feel hollow even when you're surrounded by people who claim to care about you. And there's a growing suspicion you can't shake, that the person everyone loves isn't actually you. Carl Jung had a name for what you built. He called it the persona, the mask we construct to meet the world. But here's what Jung understood that most people miss. The mask isn't the problem. The problem is what happens when you forget you're wearing one. Think of your personality like a building. The persona was supposed to be the facade, the presentable exterior that faces the street. Behind it, the actual structure, your real thoughts, your genuine reactions, the parts of you that don't fit neatly into social situations. In a healthy architecture, the facade is decorative. It serves a function, first impressions, professional contexts, meeting your partner's parents, but it's clearly separate from the load-bearing walls. You can step behind it. You know where the decoration ends and the real structure begins. But something went wrong in your construction. Maybe the original structure felt too dangerous to show. Maybe someone important taught you that your real walls were ugly or unstable or wrong. So you kept adding to the facade, thickening it, reinforcing it, until one day you looked up and realized the facade had become structural. You couldn't remove it anymore without the whole thing collapsing. This is what happens to chronic people pleasers. The mask fuses to the face. The performance becomes the only show in town. And the person underneath, the one who existed before the mask, starts to suffocate. You can see this in the small moments. Someone asks what restaurant you want to go to, and you genuinely don't know. Not because you lack preferences, but because you've spent so long deferring that the preference muscle has atrophied. A friend cancels plans and you feel relief flood through you, then immediately guilt for feeling relieved. You say, "I'm fine," so automatically that you don't even check anymore whether it's true. The architecture has become autonomous. It runs without your permission. And the person who designed it, the child who needed safety, is long gone. What remains is a building that no longer serves its inhabitant. Jung's deeper insight was that the persona doesn't just cover something, it actively suppresses it. Every trait you couldn't include in your nice, acceptable self didn't disappear. It got pushed into what he called the shadow. Your anger, your selfishness, your capacity to say no and mean it, your honest opinions about people you're supposed to like, your actual needs, which might inconvenience others, your boundaries, which might make someone feel rejected. These didn't evaporate. They accumulated. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. The shadow doesn't stay buried quietly. It leaks. It sabotages. It comes out sideways in ways you don't recognize as yourself. Watch for the signs. That passive-aggressive comment you made and immediately regretted, that was your suppressed anger finding the only exit you'd allow it. The resentment that builds toward people you've never set a boundary with, that's your buried self-interest screaming through the walls. The exhaustion that makes you cancel plans at the last minute, your psyche's desperate attempt to get space you won't consciously claim. There's a particular pattern that shows up in people with overdeveloped personas. They're wonderful until they're not. They accommodate and accommodate and accommodate, and then something small happens. A tone of voice, a forgotten birthday, a request that's one too many, and they explode. Or they go cold, or they disappear without explanation. The people around them are blindsided. Where did this come from? You were always so easygoing, but it didn't come from nowhere. It came from everywhere. From every swallowed response, every abandoned need, every moment you chose peace over truth. The shadow had been taking notes the whole time. You think you're a nice person, with occasional bad moments. But what if those bad moments are the real you trying to breathe? What if your shadow isn't your failure, it's your survival? Let's be honest about what your niceness actually purchases. You learned early that being pleasant, agreeable, low maintenance, this bought you something. Safety, approval. The feeling of being accepted, even if what was accepted wasn't really you. This is the transaction most people pleasers are running without knowing it. I will suppress my real reactions, and in exchange, you will not reject me. I will make myself convenient, and in exchange, you will let me stay. The transaction often has a specific origin. Maybe you had a parent whose love felt conditional, available when you were good, withdrawn when you were difficult. Maybe you learned that conflict in your household was dangerous, that the safest position was invisible agreement. Maybe you were the child who kept the peace between warring adults, and peacekeeper became your permanent identity. Or maybe it came later, a friendship where your authentic reaction was met with coldness, a relationship where your needs were labeled as neediness, a workplace where being agreeable was the only path to survival. Each of these taught you the same lesson. The real you is too much. Edit accordingly. The problem is that this transaction has a hidden cost. Every time you abandon yourself to keep the peace, you're teaching yourself that you aren't worth fighting for. Every time you pretend to be okay when you're not, you're confirming that your real feelings are too much, too inconvenient, too unacceptable. And worse, the approval you're buying isn't even real, because they're not approving of you. They're approving of the persona. They're applauding a performance, while the performer slowly disappears. This creates a particular kind of loneliness. You're surrounded by people who think they know you, but they know the mask. You're told you're loved, but what's loved is the character you play. You're never actually rejected, but you're never actually accepted either, because the thing that could be accepted has never been shown. There's a moment that comes for everyone who has over-invested in their persona, a moment when the architecture can't hold anymore. Maybe it's a relationship that fails despite all your accommodation. You gave and adjusted and accommodated, and they still left. Or worse, they stayed, but in a way that made clear they never saw you at all. All that performance, and the audience wasn't even watching. Maybe it's a body that finally breaks down, the headaches that won't stop, the jaw you clench without noticing, the insomnia that comes from a nervous system that never gets to rest because it's always monitoring, always adjusting, always performing. The body keeps the score, and the score of a lifetime of self-abandonment is written in symptoms you can no longer ignore. Maybe it's a depression that descends and won't lift, not the dramatic kind, the gray kind, the kind where nothing is wrong exactly, but nothing is right either. Where you go through the motions of a life that looks fine from the outside but feels like watching yourself through glass. This is what happens when living as a character instead of a person eventually drains all meaning from existence. Or maybe it's quieter than that. Maybe it's just the slow, accumulating realization that you've become someone you don't recognize. That you've spent so long being who others needed you to be that you've lost the thread of who you actually are. That if someone asked you what you want, not what you should want, not what would be convenient to want, but what you actually want, you wouldn't know how to answer. This is the crisis of the overdeveloped persona. Not that you can't function. You function beautifully. That's the whole point. But that functioning has eaten the functioner alive. Integration doesn't mean destroying the persona. That would be like tearing down a facade that has become load-bearing. The whole structure would collapse. People who try this often become people who don't care what anyone thinks in ways that are actually just shadow possession dressed up as freedom. They swap one performance for another. The nice person becomes the brutally honest person, which is just another mask, just another way of avoiding the actual self. Real integration is more subtle. It means making the persona flexible again, learning that you can put on the social mask when you need it, and take it off when you don't. It means building an actual structure behind the facade, developing a self that can stand on its own, so the mask becomes optional instead of mandatory. This starts with the uncomfortable work of reclaiming what you buried, the anger you weren't allowed to have. It contains information about your boundaries. It tells you what you won't accept, what matters enough to fight for. The selfishness you were taught was wrong? It's actually the ability to prioritize your own needs, a skill without which you'll drain yourself empty serving others. The opinions you swallowed, they're the shape of your actual mind, the perspective that makes you specifically you. The shadow isn't your enemy. It's everything you amputated to make the persona possible. And the path forward isn't to keep it buried. It's to slowly, carefully bring it back into the light. This isn't abstract. There are concrete things you can do, starting now. First, start noticing the gap. Pay attention to the moments when your external response doesn't match your internal reaction. You don't have to change anything yet. Just notice. Someone asks you to do something and you say yes, but something in you clenches. A friend says something you disagree with and you nod along. An opportunity comes up and you say, "That sounds great," when it actually sounds exhausting. Just notice the gap is data. Second, practice micro-honesty. This isn't about dramatic confrontations. It's about tiny moments of truth. When someone asks what you want for dinner, actually answer. When someone asks how you are, give a real response, even if it's just tired or kind of stressed. When you have a mild preference, state it. These small moments start to rebuild the muscle of authenticity that your persona has let atrophy. Third, let yourself be slightly disappointing. This is the hard one. Pick low-stakes situations and practice not being perfectly accommodating. Be 5 minutes late. Say, I can't make it without a detailed excuse. Express a preference that might not match someone else's. Let someone be mildly inconvenienced by your existence. Notice that the world doesn't end. Notice that the people worth keeping don't leave. Fourth, find witnesses for the real you. You need at least one relationship, a friend, a therapist, a partner, where the mask can come off, where you can say the thing you actually think and not have it cost you. This is where the real self gets to practice existing before it has to face the wider world. This isn't work you do once. It's a practice, a gradual shifting of the balance between mask and self, performance and presence. Here's what no one tells you about this work. Some people won't like the integrated version of you. The relationships built on your accommodation may not survive your boundaries. The approval you purchased with your pleasantness will be revoked when you stop paying. This is real. I won't pretend it isn't. Some people were only in your life because you made yourself easy to be around. When you stop being easy, when you start having needs, opinions, limits, they'll drift away or push back. The friend who always chose the restaurant will be confused when you have preferences. The family member who counted on your compliance will be unsettled by your boundaries. The colleague who leaned on your agreeableness will feel betrayed by your honesty. This is the part where I'm supposed to reassure you that authentic relationships will take their place, and often they do. People who can love the real you do show up once you start being the real you. But I won't lie to you. There's a transition period, a gap where you're too real for the people who loved the performance and not yet connected to people who can love the person. That gap is uncomfortable. It's necessary. It's worth it. This is what it costs to stop being nice and start being whole. Not everyone will make the journey with you, but here's what you get in return: yourself. The actual person who existed before you learned to hide, the one with edges and opinions and needs that don't apologize for existing. You don't have to be nice. You don't have to be cruel either. That's just the shadows swinging to the other extreme. You get to be something harder and more valuable, genuine, present. A real person in a world full of performances. The persona was a survival strategy. It worked. It got you through childhood, through difficult relationships, through environments where being yourself wasn't safe. Honor that. It did its job. But you're not in survival mode anymore. And the cost of keeping the mask fused to your face is higher than the cost of learning, finally, to take it off.